So vampires used to be really gross, like really disgusting. Moldy and festering and stinky with body parts falling off. They were scary, they were unpleasant, and very unhygienic. So when did they become an undead hero? 1819. There were obviously lots of stories about vampires and hungry ghosts and zombies and revenants before this, but in 1819 John Polidori published a story called The Vampire. This was written in the summer of 1816, which was known as the year with no summer. There was a volcano that erupted in the Mediterranean. There was so much smog and smoke and ash in the sky, it was very difficult for the sunlight to come through. Mary Shelley, Percy Shelley, and Byron were on a vacation, and they had brought John Polidori, who was Byron's doctor, along with them. They decided to write horror stories to scare and entertain each other. This was when Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein. It's also when John Polidori wrote The Vampire. And that vampire was debonair. He was charming. He wore a top hat and a frock coat, he was wealthy, and he was kind of a jerk. And apparently he was based on Lord Byron, because Lord Byron actually was kind of a prat. But he was very popular. When his poetry came out, women would flock the street when they saw him. They would weep and scream and cry and faint at his feet. And John Polidori really didn't like Byron, so he based The Vampire on him. There is a theory, though, that Byron wrote the original vampire story and that John Polidori stole it, so either way, there's lots of undead drama. Not coincidentally, the fashion in the early 1900s was top hats, frock coats, and cravats. There's also, of course, Dracula, which was published in 1897 by Bram Stoker. That vampire was based partly on Vlad the Impaler, who massacred a whole bunch of people by impaling them on large sticks, but also on Elizabeth Bathory, who was said to have murdered women, virgin women, to bathe in their blood and drink their blood because it would keep her beautiful. Because nothing says pretty like blood clots in your hair. Elizabeth! Ew! No! In the 1970s and 1980s, the Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice became very popular, and the idea of the rockstar vampire grew even more. Then came Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Twilight, The Vampire Diaries, so many stories. My favorite, though, has to be Tanya Huff's book series called The Blood Ties, because Vicky is sarcastic and awesome, and Henry Fitzroy, our undead vampire hero, is the bastard son of Henry VIII, currently living in Toronto and making his living as a romance novelist. I love him. Fight me.